Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Mark Marquette. So glad you're with us and spending your time to stay curious. I'm broadcasting live from the American Space Museum in downtown Titusville, Florida. We're just about 10 miles from across the river over there, where Kennedy Space Center and the fabulous space program of America has taken place for over 60 years, and maybe 15 miles from the launch pads over there at Cape Canaveral Space Force that have launched so many unmanned missions, uh, literally into our solar system and beyond. So glad that you're all here with us today. We're going to talk a little bit about Black History Month and feature three African American astronauts, Guy Bluford, Victor Glover, and Joan Higginbotham. So stay tuned for that. We're also going to talk about a couple of space shuttle missions in the month of February, where we had 11 beautiful shuttle missions. As you know, we celebrate the shuttle era 30 years of 135 shuttle launches, 134 of them successful, of course, that have changed the way we think of things. And STS 107 that we did lose was a very successful 16-day mission of science before we lost the crew on reentry. But so hope you enjoyed that. We're Marty Winkle, my co-producer, over there on the Streamlabs. Good to have Marty back in the studio. He helped me remotely yesterday when we want to thank Brian Bourgie. Bourgie is how you pronounce his name. Brian, a friend of mine in the Titusville Chamber of Commerce. And we talked about Chamber of Commerce and how important the Space Coast and the launches are here. And it's, of course, February 19th, but boy, spring break seems like it's broke already, Marty. I was going south out of here at about 6:15, forgot about the launch at 6:25 of a Falcon 9 rocket with those Starlink satellites on it. And it's a little bit cloudy. Don't know if where you were, but the all of the stops in the parks and the little picnic areas on Route 1 were packed with people wanting to see that launch. When you see so many of them, Marty, and I've just seen a fraction of what you've seen, but when you see so many of them, you're like, wow, look at all these people piled up there. And you know, Marty, it's some of these people, their only rocket launch they will ever see. I saw license plates from Ontario and the great state of Ohio, and that state up above Ohio even was represented there. And it's just amazing to see the interest, and I don't take that for granted. I like looking at them, but we had 91 launches last year, so I maybe missed 20 of them in the middle of the night. And I've probably seen about 200, maybe even 300 of those Starlink launches since they've been going off. So before we get rolled up here, let's say hello to our family out there watching today. Bob Mayran, thank you for being part of our Stay Curious family here. Cliff Watson, good morning to you in Pomona, Australia, Cliff. We've got an astronaut that was born in Pomona, but it wasn't in Australia. And I'll tell you who. Stay curious in just a minute. Dave Stangy's saying hello. He said it's cold and snowy here in Michigan. Need a trip down south? You do. You certainly do. And hope that your grandbaby on the way is born healthy, but maybe a couple weeks early so you can come to Shuttle Fest there, Dave. You're going to, this Shuttle Fest will be the one they'll talk about for years. I guarantee it. Steve Jokums, great to see you from Fox Lake, Illinois. I watched a little bit of the Formula One reveal in London last night, and I'll watch the rest of it tonight. Pretty cool if you didn't check it out yet, Steve, or any of you F1 fans. Cliff says we sound much better than yesterday. We did have some tinniness going on yesterday, Marty, because I couldn't massage the Streamlabs like you usually do. So thanks for pointing that out, Cliff. Greetings from Colorado. That is Mitch Rothman. Mitch, you're going to be here this weekend? I keep wanting to call you, and I just been tuckered out in the evening, my friend. Good afternoon to Big Dean Babcock, and hello there, Carlton Bailey. We'll call you tonight as I'm going to the Brevard Astronomy Club in Melbourne. You'll be my road trip talk today. So, and William Whiting says hello, space people. He's local here, also a Michigander, but he's got a nice little crib here that he enjoys. And Tom Celentano up in Connecticut. And hello again, Mark Thel. Marty, we're going to meet Mark Thel at Shuttle Fest. Another one of our new family members here. And I do consider you all family. I've seen over half your faces. Broke meals with lots of you, but this is what we're about, the American Space Museum, and things that I personally do are all about the fellowship. It's about the people that do this, that did our tremendous national treasures like Marty that worked on the shuttle program and the Apollo program. But we love the fellowship and we love you joining us. And thank you. I'm going to miss you, Mitch. He's going to be in Colorado for a couple of weeks, he said there. But we will see him at Shuttle Fest as he is a major sponsor of Shuttle Fest. And I made you a sponsor of our weekend memorabilia show here too. So let's see. Let's maybe go backwards. Yep, there we go. Space memorabilia show Saturday at Beachside Hotel. I am kind of getting to be a nervous wreck, Marty. We've done the advertising that we can afford, mostly social media. And so we hope that people turn out for it. See you there, Mitch? Right there you are, buddy. I don't forget about you. There's the Manned Space logo there. And Space Coast Covers is Ken Havicott, another sponsor financially, and Bid Again Auctions, Chuck Jeffrey, financially helping us pay the bill for the room there. And we've got about a dozen vendors that are going to sell things that you just can't live without, Marty. And you're going to be there selling your Kapton foil. So if you're local, you'll get a shot at some Kapton foil that was on Apollo 17 that Marty took off of an instrument swap out, right? In there. What tell us about that, Marty? Give me a drink.
Well, the Mylar that came off of Lunar Module 12 off Apollo 17 was Mylar that we had to remove to cut away to get to the IMU, the inertial measurement unit, which had to be replaced. And then it's also had some Kapton from Apollo 12, LEM 7, and that came from a battery, pyrotechnic battery installation. So both will be there for sale.
We got about 4-inch squares of it, 3-inch.
It varies because the Apollo LEM 12 was about 4-inch square, yes, but the Apollo 17 was basically torn out or cut out, so it's all different shapes.
Yeah, and it goes at a good price, $300 to $400 for his little lots there, well worth it. And so, hello, Doug Forrest. Yeah, go ahead, Marty.
But it'll be less at the memorabilia show.
Less at the memorabilia show. So if you're local there, and we know many of you will come and see us, Doug Forrest in Los Angeles area, Pasadena, he will be at Shuttle Fest with his beautiful artwork, Marty. And good afternoon to Tom Usiak. We had some Pennsylvania people in our museum today that knew where Lancaster was, and they were happy to warm their bones up today here. It's rather warm today. It's almost 80. We hate to say that, as we know the Midwest is getting hammered. My 92-year-old mother in Findlay, Ohio, said it's not gotten out of the teens temperature-wise for a high in Northwest Ohio for over a week. So she's pretty sick of it, and she don't want to hear anything about me living down here when it's cold up there. So, all right. Also, there's a teasing about Shuttle Fest. If you have not registered, now's the time, okay? We are going to sell this thing out, cap it off at 125 people, and maybe we'll get 100 people just show up. But they're going to enjoy a really wonderful 3 days. We've added a bonus Friday night at ASM where we're going to have, we're going to celebrate the first female engineer, Joanne Morgan. We're going to kind of feat her for the evening. I do know that Joe Tanner will be here Friday night, so will Don Thomas, and I think Eileen is going to be here Friday night, as a lot of them are coming in Thursday. They're taking advantage of us paying 3 nights a hotel room for them, I think, Marty. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I was just thinking, was Joanne the first female engineer, or she was the first female engineer in the firing room?
Correct. That's an engineer corrected me there for sure. She was probably not the first female engineer, but she was the first one that had the chops to be in the firing room with 300 other men at the Apollo 11. And she broke the glass ceiling for a lot of people, just like Eileen Collins did. All right, becoming the first pilot and the first commander. There's a lot that, you know, Marty, we grew up in the era where women's rights was a huge deal. Women were not treated fairly in the 40s and 50s and 60s when they started entering the workforce. And a lot of people under 40 might not remember that. The sacrifices, the hardships, and some ridicule and so forth that the women took to be in their positions. For example, when Joanne came in the 50s, there was no women's bathrooms. Okay, if there were, she had to walk to another building to go get it because that's where all the secretaries were. So, Joanne, we can't wait to have an evening with you on Friday night, and we'll be, of course, talking a lot more about what we do with Shuttle Fest. We're making it a Hubble Hugger Saturday. There's going to be plenty of time for autographs. As I'm putting aside the 4:30 to 6 o'clock hour on Saturday and Sunday for autographs. You stand in line and autograph the books and things that they may have. All right, we want to give a shout out to this young lady, Chelsea Zukowski. She is a journalist who is writing a book about Southern American space museums, Marty. So she advertised this on Space Hipsters. Those of you that are part of Emily Carney's massive group of space lovers, which I joined at when it was about 5,000. Now it's about 60,000. So what she holding here is what could be considered an antique external hard drive. But to us baby boomers, that's where we kept our Beatles and Stones, and if you're real cool, on the reel-to-reel tape there that she's got there. So we put it back very carefully there, Nick Enix, our collection manager. But there is beautiful Chelsea Zukowski in our Cape Canaveral gallery. She was very impressed by it, as well as you should be. You'll never see more equipment out of launch complexes from Cape Canaveral than in this room. If you do, send me a picture of it so I can correct myself. So Chelsea, we're looking forward to your book and enjoy your trip. And she's from over on the West Coast. She grew up on the West Coast of Florida over there. So we'll see her more, we hope, on there. Chelsea Zukowski there in our Cape Canaveral gallery. Well, I've got a couple birthdays to give a shout out to today. You would think by the names of these astronauts that they didn't fly on an American spaceship, but they did. And there's your astronaut pin there for the birthdays. We've got, let's see, Michael Bruno saying, I could be louder and closer to the mic. Okay, Michael. Nobody says that to me very often, Marty. But maybe you need to balance that over there. And it's on the heart over here. So we're live, we're on the fly, and we wear it warts and all. So happy birthday to, who's going to pop up here first? Yeah, David. Happy birthday to, Brian Kurt Lichtenberg from Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. He is 77 years old today. All right, the first astronaut to serve as a payload specialist. Okay, aboard STS-61B. I thought it was Charlie Walker that was the first payload specialist, Marty. But Lichtenberg has 19 days in space. He flew on STS-61B, and then in 1985. and then flew on Space Lab 1, STS-9. What an experience that must have been with the great John Young as his commander. And he is 77 years old. Hard to find pictures of some astronauts in there today, 70 some years old. Couldn't find any of him in the quick time that I had to do this today. So Lichtenberg was on, he took care of experiments also on other missions that he didn't fly. So he's from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, born in the great state of Pennsylvania, Stroudsburg. Tommy, where's that at? Sounds like Amish country to me. But he was born February 19th, 1948, and born on February 19th, 1952, is Mexico's first and only astronaut. Marty, correct us on that, Lichtenberg being the first payload specialist.
I can't correct. Oh, sorry. Charlie Walker flew in '84, so that was several months before.
Yeah, Lichtenberg was 85.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, we might have to correct my data there, which probably is from Wikipedia, which I do find rarely wrong, but when it's wrong, we correct it there. Tom Celentano says he met Lichtenberg at a National Space Society conference in 1992. A great guy. Thank you, Tom. Wondered about, well, he's from Pennsylvania, so I pretty much like everybody from there, don't you, Marty?
Yeah.
It's those Michiganders that just drive you crazy. Well, here is Vila. This is Mexico's first and only astronaut, Rudolfo Vila, born in Chilpancingo, Guerrero, Mexico in 1952 on this date, February 19th. Nero was a payload specialist on 61B. Okay. Oh, I got him mixed up there. Yeah, Vila is the second Latin American to travel to space, the first from Mexico, and as far as I know, the only one from Mexico. There's other astronauts with Mexican Hispanic roots, of course, but they're from other countries on there. Lichtenberg's missions were, yeah, he was just on STS-9 and then Atlas, STS-45. But that was 83, so that was before Charlie. So, anyway, Charlie's the first one to go twice and then 3 times. So there I did find an old picture of him and how he looked. But this is when NASA was introducing other astronauts from other countries. Again, showing the world that we were inclusive. And a happy birthday to him. He's 73 years old today. Now, so that begs, as we're going to talk about the shuttles of the month of February here in a few minutes, but let me tease you with that before we get to our Black History astronauts. 11 beautiful shuttles in the month of February. All 5 orbiters flew. Okay. Columbia and Challenger just had 1 mission. Of course, the most was Discovery. Usually every month it is Discovery with 4. OV-104, the tail number for Atlantis is 3, and Orbital Vehicle 105 had 2 missions, Endeavour, on there. And some great missions there. STS-82 is Joe Tanner, who is an astronaut that's going to be at the Shuttle Fest. Joe's looking forward to meeting you all there. STS-130, the last hardware delivered to the space station by the Cupola, I believe in 2010. We've got the first landing at Kennedy Space Center, STS-41B, up there in the upper right. One of my favorite patches is 98. I love that patch. That is the Destiny module delivered to the space station. That is the main science platform for the space station on there. So we're going to talk about STS-75 and 133 to end the program here. So stay tuned for those great missions. But among there, you had the first untethered EVA by Bruce McCandless on 41B. And then who did it the second time? Okay. Who did the second EVA on that MMU that Bruce McCandless is so famous for. And gosh, and I know it. Somebody tell me who it is out there so I don't rack my brain. As we're saying hi to Elena Adhikari from South Africa. Um, oh, I know who it is. Like it begins with an S, not Springer. Well, it's right there on the thing. McCandless Stewart. Yeah, Stewart did the second EVA with the MMU on there. Oh, well, let me go back there. I wanted, before we get to our African American astronauts, to get to the first Mir Rendezvous and the first female pilot, Eileen Collins. That was STS 63. The last ISS hardware on the cupola was STS 130. That's why the cupola is the patch there. And the second Hubble upgrade mission, STS 82, are all beautiful launches in the month of February there. So I said, I put my Black History Month slide up there. I thought I did, Marty. Must not have transferred. Here are the first African American astronauts to be on the flight crews of America. Ron McNair on the left there, Gregory on the right, and in the center is Guy Bluford, who was the first man to go, African American to go up. Guy Bluford there. Did I put Ronaldo? No, I didn't. Doggone it. Huh. Oh, I see. You probably didn't. All right. I didn't get my last pictures on there, Marty, but that's okay. I added some at the end and you downloaded them and I forgot to tell you what I added. All right. Black History Month.
I downloaded after you said it was okay.
Okay. Well, that's okay. There's our first three African American astronauts. Bluford was the first one. I wanted to show you that the first black person to go to space, or person of color, was Arnaldo Mendez from Cuba. And he is considered the first African American. He's the first person of African descent and the first person from a country in the Western Hemisphere other than the United States to travel to Earth orbit. He went aboard a Soyuz spacecraft of Russia. So I don't have a picture of him there. That's what I thought I loaded up. So when we talk about ending our month of Black History, I'll bring Mendez in. But really, truly, as far as African American, it's Guy Bluford's the first one to go to space up there. And Guy, we, by our all counts, 17 African Americans have orbited the Earth. Now, that does not include Michael Strahan, who was suborbital on a Blue Origin suborbital flight. Let's see, Guy Bluford, born, again, Pennsylvania, Marty, born in Philadelphia, November 22nd, 1942. That's in your neck of the woods there, Marty. He's 83 years old and apparently in great health. He was the second person of African descent to go to space, okay, because we're talking about Mendez of Cuba being the first. 4 shuttle flights, okay. Far from a token astronaut for sure of any kind. Bluford went up there on STS-8 and 61A, 39, and 53. Has 29 days in space. He was a fighter pilot, Penn State graduate. Okay, so he enjoyed the football this year because they had a great team. And there he is in space working out. That's STS-8, working out on the treadmill there. Born in Philadelphia, like I said. He had a minor in laser physics, okay, at the Air Force Institute of Technology. He was on the German D1 Space Lab mission. That was a very cool mission. There he is with Sharon McDougall in the background, the suit tech in Houston. She's another African American Hidden Figures. We love you, Sharon, and can't wait to get you on Stay Curious. We talk about you all the time. There's Bluford signing with like a black chalk or something there. He didn't have a very good pen to write with. G.S. Bluford, there's how he signed his name for her when she photographed him in the suit tech room there. An Eagle Scout, okay. He, let's see, he was on the German D2 mission. There he is a few years ago, of course, spreading not only the space program, but inspiring minorities to be all they can be like he was. And his last mission was a classified mission, Department of Defense mission, STS-53. I believe Bob Cabana was the commander of that. So, great guy. I'd love to meet him. Wish he would be in the queue out there at the Kennedy Space Center, but he's not at this time. But he's very active. Of course, he's an Air Force person, so he's involved at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base with things. And let's see if I can pull. Oh, no. Let's see. Here's a quote when he was on Oprah magazine. He had a quote where he said, "One of the things that I really wanted to do was not only to break the mold, but to help pull other African Americans into the program and get them to fly. I feel honored with reference to not only leading the charge, but helping a bunch of other African Americans who came behind me. I take a great deal of pride in that." As well as you should, Guy Bluford. Hope to meet you someday. Next African American we're featuring is Victor Jerome Glover, and he might be familiar to you as he is indeed an Artemis II astronaut. Okay, Victor Glover, born in Pomona, California. All right, and there are a bunch of Pomonas around here. And got some comments here that Dean Babcock, if Robert Lawrence hadn't been lost in an F-104 crash, he would have been the first black astronaut. He certainly would have been. Thank you, Mark Worobitz. He loves our space talk. Appreciate that. I think it's the only place where you're going to get this off the cuff kind of talk that's not so rehearsed or polished. We cough. We do everything on air here for your viewing pleasure. And Tommy Usiak said Stroudsburg, where Lichtenberg was born, is northeast of Lancaster in the Pocono Mountains. So thank you for adding to our program. A great picture of Victor there. Grew up in Pomona, California, graduated of Ontario High School. He was a quarterback and running back for his football team called the Jaguars. He was actually the athlete of the year. Born in 1976. He's 49 years old then. He will be 49, and April 30th is his birthday. So don't push it. Don't push those 50s there, Victor. Captain in the U.S. Navy, where he piloted the FA-18, America's premier fighter jet at the time. And then he was launched on Crew 1. We had the demo crew of Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley to shake down the first private spacecraft to be used by NASA. And then Victor was on the first STS-1 crew, and that was in 2018, okay, in August. And he was the pilot on that. Michael Hopkins, Shannon Walker was with them, and Soichi Noguchi of Japan was on them in there. And they spent 100 and how many days up there? About 160 some days on the International Space Station as part of Expedition 64-65. And again, that was almost 7 years ago, his last flight. And then he went into training for Artemis on there. There's always looking sharp in a uniform there. That's for the ladies there. And he's married to, I love this about the gentleman. He's married to Diane Odom, and they have 4 daughters, Marty. He's 48 years old. He's a spaceman, and he's got 5 women on Earth that love him to death. 4 daughters and a wife. So I think that's always, I have a daughter, and, men and their daughters are very special. I'll tell you that right now. So, the daughters and the wife are probably like, "You're going to win, or you're going to go to space again on Artemis 3. And he's telling them, I don't know, but here I was in space on Expedition 65 up there. He did 4 spacewalks, okay? So Glover's going to be an excellent astronaut in the Artemis program with that kind of experience there. If we ever get him up there, there's the Artemis 2 crew. There, Christina Cook is the female. Canadian is on the right and American on the left. And somebody's going to have to tell me their names. I'm not going to try to reach for them there if you know them. Victor is the first African American on a long duration expedition mission. He's not the first African American to live on the International Space Station, but he's the first, or even visit it. But he's the first one to stay up there for a full expedition crew there. So there's an outstanding African American, an inspiration to men, women, children, whatever color you are. And of course, there's the Artemis 1 spacecraft with the moon in the background taken from a selfie camera there. And our final astronaut of the day, Joan Higginbotham. All right, she's 61 years old, born August 3rd, 1964. And we got some Illinois people that know she was born in Chicago. 13 days in space. She attended the Whitney Young Magnet High School, in 1982 graduate. Received a Bachelor of Science from Southern Illinois University Carbondale and her Master's in Science at the Florida Institute of Technology, Marty, just about 50 miles up the road from us, FIT. She's an electrical engineer. She flew on Discovery on STS-116. And the third African-American woman to go into space after Mae Jemison and Stephanie Wilson. And she came in through the ranks of working on the space shuttle, like Kay Heyer and like Nicole Stott were shuttle workers, and they applied to be an astronaut, and bingo, history's made. So she was the lead for orbiter experiments on Columbia on there. So being late in the program on 126 in September 2008, it's her only mission. And she was originally on 126. That's right. She was on 116, scheduled to go to 126, but she left NASA, turned down that mission to take a job in a private sector there. So Joan Higginbotham getting suited up there in the White Room. I have met her talking to Gregory. What's Gregory's first name? Fred Gregory. There you go, Fred Gregory. She and Fred Gregory were sitting outside the astronaut encounter talking to Nick Thomas, and I have shown that picture. She is tiny. She is like petite little lady there. And, well, she's 61 years old, so she's a full-grown woman. But there she is in the White Room. There she is in space on Discovery. And Mitch Rothman said he met her at the Hall of Fame induction last year. Yep, I saw her walking around there, too. As you know, she's a very cool gal and getting in there. So there's our Black Astronauts of February. Black History Month celebration there. So let's talk about a couple missions here in the last 15 or 10 minutes or so. STS-75 was launched in February on February 22nd, 1996. So we're getting 30 years on to that one, 29 years old. And Andy Allen, a friend of ours, was the commander. Andy was the astronaut that did the talk for our astronaut memorial in January. Scott Horowitz was the pilot. You had Franklin Chang Diaz on probably his 4th of 5 missions. Let's pull that out. Anyway, let's read the. I can maybe pull it out all over the floor, Marty. Daggone it. Get that here. So let me reach down here and show you my bald spot and get our shuttles here that I threw on the floor. Let me get that there, and then we'll tell you about the patch. Gosh darn it.
Drop it again, Mark.
I dropped it again. Can't make this stuff up. Well, had a very busy day today, as usual. trying to get our events all together here, and then provide you all with a program that I know you all enjoy. Oh, well, I'm not going to have much to say about those. 7. There we go. There's 133. And the other one I'm looking for is 75 here. I got some cheat sheets in here to rip off a few impressive facts about the mission there. But, yeah, I can't find the one on 75. We'll just go with it like this. 8, 9. 75 is how many in my... Okay. Mark, you got to get more organized. So, this, love talking about the logos. That's the book I use. Many of you get that autographed by astronauts. The crew patch depicts the Space Shuttle Columbia and the tethered satellite connected by a 13-mile electrically conducted tether. The orbiter and satellite system is passing through the Earth's magnetic field, which, like an electric generator, will produce thousands of volts of electricity. Columbia is carrying the United States microgravity palette to conduct microgravity research in material science and thermodynamics. The tether is crossing the Earth's terminator, signifying the dawn of a new era for space tether applications and in mankind's knowledge of the Earth's ionosphere. Also, material science and thermodynamics. The patch was designed by space artist Mike Sanni, Sanni, and again launched in February '96. It landed on March 9th, 1996, and this is a mission that was flown previously with Andy Allen as a pilot, and the tethered satellite, the tethered got hung up, and there was somebody made a mistake. All right, in the payload, SSPF, Space Shuttle Processing Facility. I forget what it was, Marty, but there was a interference into the mechanism that didn't allow it to go out. And it was really kind of a human error screw up. But on this one, they did get it out to about 13 miles. They did generate electricity, and then it broke. So I ask all of you space lovers out there, as this says, the orbiter, they call it the dawn of a new era for space tether applications. And then after 1996, it disappeared. Haven't heard anything about it, all right? And I've even asked some astronauts about it. Why isn't this tethered system hanging off the International Space Station, generating electricity? Why wasn't this something that we could do off of it? All right, doesn't it make sense, Marty? And use it, because I think you can also use this tethered system to raise and lower orbits of a structure that is tethered to. All right, but I do know you can get thousands of volts of electricity off of it. So why hasn't this become an application? What did they discover about it that they abandoned this technology and didn't want to take it any further? If you can direct me to some info on that, I'll do a program on it there. So that's what we're staying curious. Yes, Marty.
I'm just thinking possibly it could have possibly interfere with other spaceships, docking.
Well, they would pull it in when you're docking. I'm saying that you have a fishing reel in and out, and there'd be times where you'd reel it out. They reeled it out to 13 miles, okay, and dragged it and discovered that the properties of the science is there, but it was never done again, to my knowledge, anywhere. Now, I was thinking, Marty, you were going with it could mess up the electronics maybe on the shuttle or the space station, interfere with some of the transmissions, maybe some of the science being done on astronomy there, radio waves, that type of thing could be interfered by this. But I've never heard a clear reason why this was abandoned. And Andy, dumb of me to even ask him, he didn't know anything about it. He just drove the thing. He's the commander and the pilot on these two missions. But a great group of people there, an international group. Claude Nicollier is from the ESA, as is Chelly. He's from ESA. So a mission that's a little bit of a mystery to me of why it wasn't this technology not. And of course, I'm running my mouth. There we are. We could show you some pictures where I was running my mouth about this technology. A spoof type of picture that the crew took. They take these formal pictures, at Houston, and then they take funny pictures. They usually take pictures of them in their military or civilian group, and then they might have their families come in. And we've even seen dogs being taken with it in there. Michael Bruno conjectures that it was probably a far larger collision hazard than the station itself in orbit. Could be a possibility. When that thing broke, they're going like, uh-oh, I hope it burns up in the atmosphere. And it did eventually. So, but yeah, I could see Michael Bruno while you're saying it could hit other objects in orbit, particularly out 13 miles. But you control it and get a little bit of the ionosphere and then haul it in. And I just think there's a lot of applications. They took silly string and squirted it all over the place there. Okay. And I'm going, what's the woman in there for? Okay. Oh, that's the other mission. That's the one before this. That's the whole other crew that did that mission before. I wonder if I can find that real quick. Yeah, Shriver was the pilot of that, and I'm trying to see if I got lucky. Yeah, that's the other crew. Lauren Shriver's the commander. Andy Allen was the pilot. That's Jeff Hoffman. Chang Diaz did this twice. Claude Nicolier of ESA. Marcia Ivins is on the bottom. I go, who's at the bottom there? That doesn't look like Marcia, but that is. And then Franco Malber is just to the left of her. So those are the two missions there. And when we interviewed Andy Allen, I squirted some silly string at him. I was a little afraid to do that. All right. But and there they are. That's the wrong mission. That's the other mission in space, not 75. So there's Andy. He is president of Aerospace, a legacy company that his father founded in the 60s, and he picked back up. He has about 900 employees. He's over there, looking handsome as ever. Marty, Steve J's got a comment there.
I guess I'll read it. A large tethered satellite also induces drag. The ISS already needs additional reboost as it stands now.
Yes, it does. But I thought there was a way to make that drag go the opposite way. But Steve, well, I'll look into that. But yes, it would create drag and bring them down. But I heard there was applications of this like a space elevator that could be used on there. And there's Andy, January 26th with John Zarella there and yours truly. And Carlton Bailey took that photo as we were at the Astronaut Memorial. And Marty, did you notice that Andy got up there and he gave such a great speech honoring his friends? He was a commander of Columbia, which I think is special, a pilot once and then a commander of Columbia. And he didn't take one note with him. He didn't have a 3x5 card. I was at an event a couple days later, memorial event, said, Andy, I noticed you didn't even have a 3x5 card. You were really cool to just talk off the top of your head. And he said, Mark, I never know what I'm going to say, So and if I write it down, I get all fumbled. So really a wonderful guy. His company has financially supported our American Space Museum. Andy Allen. Well, finally, let's talk about STS-133. A beautiful patch here that I'm going to elaborate on is the third from last shuttle mission of all time with some great astronauts on it there. This mission pass is based upon the sketches from the late artist Robert McCall. It was actually finished by Tim Gagnon and his partner Jorge. Artist partner that Tim has, I forget Jorge's last name, but he's a Spanish artist. Robert McCall, the great artist, started this, and he died during the middle of this in 2010. They were the final creations of his long and prodigious career. In the foreground, a solitary orbiter ascends into a blue sky above a rolling, fiery plume. A spray of stars surrounds the orbiter, and at the top, lit crescent forms the background behind the ascent. The mission number is emblazoned on the patch center, and the crew members' names are listed on a sky blue border around the scene. Discovery is depicted ascending on a plume of flame as if it were just beginning a mission. However, it is just the orbiter without the boosters or an external tank, as it would be at the mission's end. This is to signify Discovery's completion of its operational life and the beginning of its new role as a symbol of NASA and the nation's proud legacy in human spaceflight. And this next to last mission on launched February 24th, 2011, at 4:55 a.m. or p.m. a great afternoon launch, landed March 9th. And Steve Lindsay was the commander, Eric Bowe the pilot. There they are. Michael Barrett, who just returned from the ISS, Steve Bowen, Nicole Stott there, and Benjamin Drew is the African American that went up to space up there on this mission. So, and they're saying thank you, America, and we love Nicole Stott, and she's just such an outreach person. Tom Celentano says STS-133 was the last liftoff he saw. I've been eager to see humans launch into space ever since, hopefully soon. Well, get your butt down here, Tom, for the next, what's going up next? Crew 10 is going up next. And Steve J. Says he and his wife Pat were at Banana Creek for the STS-133 launch. An incredible day. And it had to be an incredible 5:54 p.m. launch there, Steve. Cool poster. These are some of the stylized posters that they did at the last third of the mission. They might take a theme. This was just a cool, artsy poster of this. And Marty, did you realize that the many times we've looked at this poster, I never really thought about, wait a minute, the shuttle's not launched with that flame like that, with no SRBs there. So that was a bold, artistic move there by Mr. Robert McCall on there. And I'm not sure what Tim Gagnon did to finish it, but he did add his little touch to it there. Go ahead, Marty.
Well, I would challenge it as far as you don't really see flames at all. Out of the main engines, you're going to just see steam.
No, you don't see red flames at all. You see the smoke and steam. The SRB, nasty gray smoke and the white steam on there. So good point. Good point. And there's the stylized poster there that we talk about. And walk out there. Hey, Nikki. There she is, so delightful to talk about these missions. And when I look at them, you go, what have they got on their feet? What do they got in those pouches there? Is that emergency stuff? Is that their PPK personal kit in there? Can tell you this, an astronaut told me that he had so many pieces of jewelry to take to space. Well, I'll just tell you, Andy Allen told me that. All right. Andy Allen told me that, Marty, that on that mission with Lawrence Shriver, he goes, I got a lot of my wife and sisters and nieces. I got a ton of women in my family. They all want me to take a necklace for them to space. And so my PPK was full. All right. And he said, so Lauren Shriver told me to tape the jewelry to my chest. Okay. On there. And so he did some of that on there. And there's the launch. Don't know if that's your photo or not, Tommy, in your group with your brother Mark, but it's a gorgeous one there at the end of the program there. And Marty wisely chose that as our background today. And there's Alvin Drew up in space in the cupola. Another way to celebrate Black History Month today. They took up to space a bunch of logistic modules. They took Leonardo up there to permanently install the multi-purpose module, so they didn't waste it down here on Earth. They had an express carrier logistics on there, and a beautiful, beautiful mission. The last one by Discovery there. And CB cooking a hamburger there on a grill. No, that's not. That's Carlton Bailey. Rare photo of you without any facial hair there, CB, on 133, putting out his remote camera. That's what the remote cameras look like, folks, that get closer than they're allowed. There's the short bus that they took Carlton out on there, and the other crew out there. And there's our good friend Mike Leinbach with Nicole Stott showing you the Discovery. That this was on the this was actually in the White Room, and we have these on display. I don't think they're gonna. Oh, they are there. Okay, good, good. I added that and something else. The other ones didn't take, Marty, but that very banner is just a piece of banner cloth, fireproof, and it stencils on there with black magic marker. And Mike Leinbach was given those by the crews. You see that the crew signed it at the top and the closeout crew at the bottom. And there's Nicole. That is in 2011. Wow. That's getting up on 14 years ago, Nicole. And she still looks great. Mike looks great too. And Mike had these framed. They were given to him, the last 3 missions. And he has loaned them to the American Space Museum. And there they are. Over there on the wall is a picture of one of them on the, I think it's Endeavors, on the, and so we got them in mixed order there. I keep going by and wanting to put Discovery on the right side there, but it was Discovery, Endeavor, and then Atlantis, the last one. And how cool is that? And just look around our wonderful museum. Over here is a piston out of the crawler. That is the handprints of Admiral Richard Truly, who passed away last year. This is part of the remote service structure of our model that was built 50 years ago by the Nixon administration to show them what they're talking about, as is the space integration there on the left with a picture of 30,000 tile on an orbiter there held up there. So those of you in Shuttle Fest, coming to Shuttle Fest, you'll be seeing this. We'll probably put an astronaut in front of this to autograph you some things. So, yeah, Marty, go ahead.
Tom Usack is saying that's a shuttle shot. That's a Mark shot from the VAB roof.
Awesome. Boy, that's a beauty there, Mark Usiak there. He's always working, and his big brother, Tom, is retired there. So, well, thank you all for watching today. Thank you for your comments. Tom Celentano and Steve Jokums were both at the STS-133 launch. I just put that together. How cool is that? And I can't wait for them to meet each other at Shuttle Fest. Hope you're coming, Tom Celentano. Thank you, Bob Mayran, for joining our family. Cliff Watson, Dave Stange, Steve Jokums, Mitch Rothman, Dean Babcock, Carlton Bailey, Bill Whiting, Tom Celentano, Mark Thel, Doug Forrest, Tom Usiak, Michael Bruno. Finally, a woman, Elena Adhakari. Thank you for watching, Elaine. I think maybe Connie McDaniel might be watching, and maybe Hazel Banks is watching. Hi, Hayes. And who?
Anita.
And Anita Truex is watching if she's not too busy, our office manager here. And Mark Warabitz, thank you all for watching today and enjoying my little foibles here as I pulled it off another Shuttle Stay Curious episode here. Yes, Marty?
Just a thought, getting back to Byron Lichtenberg.
Uh-huh.
I just looked at Wikipedia and it says, yes, he was the first payload specialist. Charlie Walker claims to be the first payload special, industrial.
Yeah.
Now, Byron was an MIT researcher, so I wonder if it's a semantics thing.
Ooh, well, we'll be
You
seeing
can
Charlie
Charlie.
out here pretty soon,
Yeah.
won't we? Is he coming back? I'm looking at the astronauts. Yeah, he's in April. Yeah, is it too bad? We'll have to make sure he schedules next year there. I'm looking at the list.
He's coming April 24th.
Bob Thirsk is out there right now. Canadian astronaut Bob Thirsk. I missed Norm Thagard, but I'll probably get out there and see Bob Thirsk Sunday and relax a little bit there. So thank you all for watching today and staying curious. Tell your friends to like us, share us, and get the word out. If you're local, we certainly hope to see you at our memorabilia show Saturday. I know a few NASA VIPs will show up, and some other people that think they're VIPs, like Terry White. Ha ha ha. Okay, Terry will definitely be there. I suspect the former Kennedy Space Center director Jay Honeycutt will also show up there. We got people like Ronnie Woods showing up, and a great artist will have his stuff there. Carlton will have several tables of some bargain basement swag for you to have. So hope to see you there. But tomorrow is February 20th. And I don't think you're much of a space geek if you don't know what February 20th means. That is John Glenn's Friendship 7 launch in 1962. And I saw it as an 8-year-old boy when our family briefly moved to Winter Park. And that was the last launch I saw, though I tried to see some others until I saw Falcon 9 lift off. So, John Glenn, tomorrow, February 20th, all day, all stay curious. Some wonderful stories about that great American hero, and who I had the pleasure of photographing when he was a senator in Ohio. So cue yourselves up for that tomorrow. Thank you, Marty, for a great Streamlabs job. And I'm Mark Marquette saying we will see you tomorrow to bridge the space between us. Thank you so much.